So in this episode, I just wanted to kind of give some advice. This is in my sales development representative uh, series, just to kind of give some lessons. Something that might be helpful to some of you. This is not the typical stuff where I talk about marketing and side hustles and things like this. Is more so just more or less even just something that's helpful to myself if I were to look back on this as somebody that's involved in their sales career and trying to find ways to uplevel their skills and get better at their craft and kind of keep developing that way, like I mentioned in an earlier episode. So in this episode, I really just have a tip, which is this: that cold calling is a numbers game. I mean, when you're cold calling, sometimes it can feel futile at times. Like that happens. Like you go on a cold call maybe, and maybe you have a bad experience on a cold call. And you know what typically happens when you have a bad cold call is that you forget about all the good cold calls you had before you had that bad cold call. And that's something that's known as recency bias, that our brains typically tend to ignore everything else that happened before and only focus on the latest data point, which is for us, it can be detrimental. If you're in sales, that can be really detrimental because you might have, maybe you did 100 cold calls that day that were really good, or 50 cold calls, and then you get the one that's really bad, and now you want to stop all of a sudden. And so what you need to do is just uh, be aware of that and realize that cold calling is a numbers game. So here's how to win it is that those who keep on calling win. Okay, so the way to win a numbers game is the guy that just keeps on calling, that just keeps on doing more numbers on the day, doing more numbers on the week, doing more numbers on the month, wins, because it's literally how many cold calls can you stack up in a day. That's who wins, whoever has got the most. It's not who had the best cold calls. The quality doesn't matter. It's not who didn't get shouted on the call. Even if you got nobody to shout at you, but you only did 5, the other guy next to you is really bad. He did 100. Everybody shouted him off the phone, but he got to 100. Guess what? He beat you. You won. So that's really what it is focus on the numbers game. Realize that the how you feel on the cold call matters only to you. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. If you feel bad, that's a good thing. Why? Because it doesn't even matter. All that matters is when you get off that cold call, you're making the next dial. You're making the next cold call. Guys, this is important. Like I said, I'm making this particular series. Obviously, it can be helpful to some other guys that are in cold calling, but really just more so just for myself to hopefully look back on and be able to actually use my own videos as just mindsets and lessons from my own experiences that can act as a reminder and give me tips and tactics that I need to be successful as a cold caller, as a salesman. So that's the lesson, and go get dialing. It's a numbers game.